Welcome back to Lawyers with Attitude. Yes, we've been away far too long.
And here is the moment you've all been waiting for. Wasn't that a lovely moment?
No.
Did you enjoy it?
It was not a lovely moment.
Well,
I tell a lie.
A lawyer telling a lie? Almost impossible. You mean lawyer, not liar. They're slightly different words. Be that as it may, today we are going to tackle, briefly, the vexed topic of murder. Something which I will do to you if you fluff your lines anymore.
This week's show, we'll be talking about murder. We'll be examining the definition of murder, what intent is required to commit murder. We'll be comparing it to the different categories of murder in America. We'll discuss the philosophy behind the death penalty. We'll look at the law in relation to joint enterprise and whether any aspect of the murder common law and legislation surrounding it needs to be changed. So join us for this week's episode of Lawyers with Attitude.
What is murder? When a person of sound mind unlawfully kills a third party, intending to kill that person to cause really serious harm during what's called the Queen's Peace, in other words, not in part of a military operation or something of that sort. That's the basic definition of murder.
That sounds a little bit complicated. So the definition of murder is not just intending to kill someone.
That's right. The law has developed over centuries from the common law to widen it from what was called willful murder, the deliberate killing of someone, to include a death caused with an intent to cause really serious harm.
Can we discuss the problems that arise with the intention to kill or the intention to cause GBH?
There are very great problems, I'm afraid. The main problem is that people tend to see murder as being a direct intent to kill. Intent to cause really serious harm is a substantial problem with which the courts have to deal on a frequent basis. Let's look and see where the greatest problem arises. And that, of course, is in the area of joint enterprise. That's when several people get together, an incident takes place, and someone dies as a result of it.
I understand that the joint enterprise question has been troubling a lot of legal commentators, and there may be changes in the law in relation to this area in the near future. What are your thoughts on this?
The law is going to change because the Director of Public Prosecution has said so. I've agreed with him. We have to change our laws. Very simply, let's take a serious crime that results in a death. Somebody goes into a bank with a sawn-off shotgun to rob the bank. They intend to cause very serious harm. A shot is fired and a security man is killed. Who runs the risk of being convicted of murder? The man who pulled the trigger? Yes. The lookout man in the bank? Yes. Probably the man standing outside keeping an eye and making sure the police aren't there. And possibly somebody a quarter of a mile away in a car who's the getaway driver and who knows there might be some violence but doesn't know how much, may also be liable to be charged with and convicted of murder. Now that may create for a jury great problems because they're trying to work out how far this intent went. What did the parties really intend? The man in the car may have said, yes, there may have been some harm, but couldn't believe he was going to go and shoot the security man. So the idea has come from the Director of Public Prosecutions and others. There should be, as in America, different classes of homicide. It will properly define who's responsible for what, where liability, criminal liability may lie. It makes the job of the lawyers easier, makes the job of the judge in summing up easier, and undoubtedly it makes the job of the jury far easier. And it gives, in overall terms, a greater sense of justice, the punishment having to fit the crime rather than shoehorning everything into a rather vague definition.
In America, there are different degrees of murder. There's capital murder, in which murder, first degree murder, is committed in certain circumstances, for example, where torture has been used, or arson or kidnapping. There's also first degree murder, which is an intent to kill with malice aforethought. And finally, there's second degree murder. These different classes of murder also carry different penalties. For capital murder, the death penalty may be imposed in certain states. For first degree murder, it usually carries life imprisonment. And in second degree murder, the penalty varies from state to state. Of course, the big difference between America and England is that there's no death penalty in the United Kingdom if somebody's convicted of murder.